Welcome and happy Astrological New Year, Aries. So let's have a look at your year ahead. The year ahead will cover from April to April next year. Now, the Astrological New Year means when the Sun moves into 0 degrees Aries, we're moving into a whole new cycle. And this is when things really kick off. So sometimes the beginning of the year, when we look at January, it can pretty much be the same old. But as we move into, especially into April, things start to really feel like we're really moving into changes. So let's have a look at your astrology, and then we're going to do a tarot reading for the year ahead, Aries. So firstly, we have, of course, the Sun is in your first sector. Now that's conjuncting Neptune and Saturn. And this Neptune and Saturn conjunction has been hanging around for a couple of weeks as Saturn moves over Neptune. Neptune's sitting there at 1 degree, and Saturn is sitting there at 4 degrees in Aries, and that will start to ease off. So over the last couple of months, you may have been feeling your energy's been a bit low. You may feel that your health has been a bit compromised, or you may have had some funny symptoms and not really been able to get diagnosed or really understand what's going on for you. Saturn Neptune can relate to the healer, can relate to healings of vibrational type. Where Saturn represents blockages, Neptune actually helps to dissolve those blockages, but sometimes that's through alternative options. So with that Saturn Neptune, it can feel like we have something going on, but we can't quite get it diagnosed clearly. So with Saturn Neptune, it's also a time to really look at our values, really look at what is important, and of course health is always a biggie. The other thing Saturn Neptune can affect is our financial circumstances, where we feel life is really hard and a struggle, and we have to struggle to survive. So it can feel like we don't believe in our power to manifest better things for ourselves. So these things are actually going to be addressed over this year for you, especially with Saturn Neptune there. But it feels like with this, it's quite a big year for Aries to be really looking at, deeper healing opportunities. There could even be an interest in health or alternative sort of medicines, or any type of spiritual or vibrational sort of interests. So you also have, with that, like I said, this could be like a bit of a healing time where you'll be able to clear those blockages with Neptune, but we do that through going into the unconscious of Neptune, going into what is really going on for us at a much deeper level. What things do we need to release with Saturn there? What blockages do we need to heal with Neptune there? So in the first sector, you also have the Moon conjunct Venus, which is absolutely lovely. I mean, the first sector is our immediate environment. It's also how we express our personal individuality. It's our self-expression. With Moon Venus there, it's a very soft aspect. It's very loving and caring and emotionally connected. Family, as in children, and nurturing. These are very, very important factors to come on, that will be important in your own personal expression. Also is a time with Moon Venus where we can look at more emotional connection to things, more emotional opening up to relationships and to others in general, but also where we can express ourselves even clearer, through our creative fields. Venus in that first sector is an extremely creative place, and Aries have a lot of creative gifts. So with that, there is also like a more of a wanting to open up and connect more at an emotional level with others. There is actually a midpoint happening here with Venus, and we have Chiron here sitting here just under the Moon. And so this is a direct midpoint, Venus-Chiron, and with the Moon sitting in the middle. And again, this relates to healing, but this is more healing on the emotional side of things and healing personal relationships. So it's quite a mixed bag for your first sector there for Aries this month. And with the Saturn Neptune that I was describing with the health issues, that will ease off as Saturn starts to move away. But with the Sun Neptune there may be issues with feeling, whether you have low levels of energy, and then you could have moments where you're having really heightened spiritual experiences. So it can be a little bit, with Neptune, we can get confused, we can sometimes misunderstand, we can feel really annoyed if we're feeling we're being lied to or deceived in some sort of way. So these are sort of the issues that Sun Neptune will bring up, where we are being in an authentic self, and sometimes things won't be clear, so we have to sort of go inwards and to really find the answers, because it's quite a high spiritual vibration. So with that Sun Neptune, so really the answers are in our inner world and in finding our own inner peace. The second sector, which relates to assets, your values, and also connects to sometimes crafts and trades that we have skills in, is Uranus. Now, Uranus has been sitting there for a while, of course, being an outer planet for Aries. And, this is coming to the end of your, to near the end of your second sector and moving into your third sector over the next few months. So it's only going to be in your second sector for really, up until about May, when it really starts to move forward into Gemini. So that is all relative to your assets and your finances, and you may have felt that have felt really unsettled. You may have felt really restless with your home, not your home situation, but really like feeling like nothing is secure, like not knowing the money that's coming in each week, not knowing whether you're investing in the right things. But at the same time, it can be very fortunate having Uranus there, because Uranus relates to the higher mind, and we can have really strong impulse to take action with certain things relative to our assets, our finances, and our security. You have Jupiter in the fourth sector, and this is a lovely place for Jupiter to be in. It's very happy in not only Cancer, but in that fourth sector. And, that really gives a secure home base. It also means you can expand in your home environment. It means that, in other words, you can, if you're looking at purchasing property, Jupiter in that position can be really good, especially with Uranus there, because, Uranus in your second, relative to your financial side of things, sudden changes can happen around finances. So with Jupiter there, you may find, well, actually we can buy a house, or we can do our house up, or we can create more security, more of a stronger foundation for ourselves. Now, the Uranus-Jupiter combination is in a semi-square. And a semi-square really, again, because these two planets are connecting up, again, this, can look really fortunate for Aries for this year, for finances, but coming in suddenly, it's certainly needed when it comes in with that Jupiter-Uranus, because Jupiter-Uranus is like a big relief. You have the South Node is sitting here in your sixth sector. Now that means past connections can play a role in working situations. It also relates to your health again, and you might find that where health issues are coming up, or even with financial issues coming up with that Saturn Neptune, where again things feel a struggle, there could be some assistance that is quite in a very good karmic way coming in to help you. And when I say a good karmic way, the South Node relates to our past lives even, and it relates to the connections. It's not only to do with where we were in past lives or who we were, but also relates to the people that we have brought through to reconnect with. And often when the nodes are making a connection, especially where we have a Mercury node here, conjunction, which is opposite the South Node. So that opposition of Mercury to the South Node can mean that in those sectors can mean that definitely deep old past connections, because we have the 6th and the 12th house, that are not only healing but very rewarding, and also can be making a significant change to do with our daily routine and our work environments. So with friends and community in the 11th house, this is Pluto is sitting there, and Pluto relates to the strong, it's powerful energy. It moves slowly, and it relates to our own personal power. Within this sector, it's relative of taking power within communities or within connections or within friendships. So in other words, you may feel you haven't had time for connections or friendships. You haven't had time to be out there within the community, but with Pluto there, it brings in things at the right timing. That can be a slow process. But if you're finding power struggles within friendships, this will be why. But this would have been going on for a while anyway. And again, this is a time where you would find that friendships are going through a huge transformation, and friendships that no longer serve, or that have been you're feeling suppressing, or just not in the direction that you're wanting to go in. I think you would have been sort of deciding on letting go of certain people in your life over this period. That would have been when Pluto went into Aquarius. Now I can't remember exactly, but it would have been sort of halfway through last year, probably even earlier actually. So really over the last year, this is already starting to happen for you, but as it moves through, this is when sort of fated connections can come in as well. So in the 12th sector, the sector to do with your unconscious, to do with your dream state, it's sort of what is sort of hidden, that sometimes we can't utilize these planets so easily in our 12th house, but we use them in a more subtle way, at a more unconscious level. Mars is sitting there, and with Mars in your unconscious, that gives you sort of an unconscious drive, but sometimes you may find you're taking action and you're not sure where that's come from. When I say action, you might fire up really easily and not know quite where that came from, but again, this is all to do with deep unconscious things. It could be a reaction, again, to do with previous experiences or even lifetime experiences. And with the Mercury node there, this is all about communicating with others and making connections and agreements. And so in that sector, again, in the place of the unconscious, it can get a little bit messy, especially with Neptune. You've got a strong Neptune sort of highlighting your environment. And then with the node Mercury sitting in that 12th sector, sometimes we just need to go and spend time by ourselves and reflect and take a deep breath, because communications can come out wrong or can be misunderstood because of that Neptunian influence. At the same time, Aries are very clear about what they want. They don't sort of, fluff around so much like a Pisces. So they tend to act, especially, with that Mars energy, but it's in the 12th there, you might go, should I be acting? Should I be, meaning acting on a certain impulse? Am I overreacting? Should I be taking this action? And wondering why you're feeling a bit hindered in that area, and that is really because of that combination going on. So that gives you a bit of a general, but let's really check out the cards, because they will always give us more clarity on exactly what's going on for you guys for this year, and it can give you a lot more detail. There's a lot of probabilities with astrology. This could be this or that, where with the tarot, even though this is a general spread, so it doesn't get as much, for a lot of people, for Aries, but it's not so specific for a person, if you like, so you don't get quite as many deep details as you would in a personal reading. Let's have a look. Okay, so good on Neptune. Neptune can relate to the Devil card, because the Devil card is about lies and deceit, or even misunderstandings, or sometimes just thinking the wrong thing. So sometimes it comes from us through our imaginings, or sometimes it comes from seeing quite clearly and seeing through things quite clearly. So interesting that the Devil's come up here, and again this is around a sort of Mars card here. So it's sort of, do I act or do I just keep quiet? You know, that sort of feels like that could be an issue for this year. This is great because sitting here in the outcome is a a situation where this is a year for new growth, new opportunities, and new talents, developing new skills actually. So those that are really wanting to expand and grow, especially in their own businesses, they're going to be able to really achieve a lot this year through their own skills, but also through learning new skills that I would call innate skills, skills that have been really big part of your life, but you've never really had the opportunity to put them into practice. So this can relate to hidden talents, past life talents, just being exposed to certain things can actually show you what your interests are and what your skills are. Again, there is some frustration around communication, around connections, family, can be personal relationships, or can just be people who are within the family or that we're close to, and misunderstandings here. So the frustration I feel is not only with the other person that we can feel is not being straight up or honest, because we have these two cards here. Now this person is sort of generally a straight up honest card, but with the devil there, we're sort of feeling like this isn't completely clear or honest or straight up. And I feel like this rods is sort of representing Aries and how much that annoys Aries. There is some it's like you've been putting in a lot of effort, and there is some good news coming in to do with this effort that you've been putting in. And it's been tiring, but you do have some good news coming up around what you have been working towards in the past. So you're building up to something, but before you're ready to move on, it looks like you're doing a bit of a releasing time. And this is where I was talking about with either financial or health issues holding things back. Now, for many, I think it's going to be more financial. For some, it could be both. But it just feels like I'm exhausted. I'm so tired of just struggling and not getting anywhere. Or I'm so tired with trying to not just make ends meet, but just to drag this body around because, I'm sort of needing a bit of it's not even a detox. It's more like you're tired of the same old, same old. You're really wanting new energy. Aries are a really creative energy, like I was describing before, and some are really talented in the arts and so forth. But what all Aries have in common is that they are great manifestors. They are great at making things happen. They don't suffer fools easily. They, like to do their own thing. They are leaders in their own right. And, it feels like any Aries energy is going, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of feeling held back, held down, or being squashed. So any Aries that are feeling that, if they're not happy in their work, if they're feeling like they are not just not happy in their work, but they're not really following their path or their heart, this is the time to really go into that and look at, why do I feel unable to move forward? Now with Mars sitting there, sort of influencing this year ahead in the 12th, it's sort of hard to take the bull by the horns with Mars sitting in the 12th house. So, once it moves into Aries, you'll find that you can, and you've got more oomph to do that, especially once Mercury goes in there as well. And that's around the 15th of April. So with that, you're going to feel, I think up to that point, you sort of might feel like you can't move ahead, or it could have been an ongoing feeling, and it's like finally an opportunity comes through that just seems to be the right situation. And again, because you've got favourable things going on to do with the nodes and Mercury here, which I feel like is, could even lead you into service type industries. And, when I was talking about the health and alternative health, that could really become a big interest of yours this year. The other areas are, anything that is where you're using your skills, anything where it's like a sort of what we call a cottage industry, or any industry where your creative ideas, you're going to be in full expansion. You have the Empress, the Ace of Cups, and the Chariot here. in these cards. So, this is a great time for growth. It's a great time for productivity, and really nice to see. And that's why I like to look at the cards, not just the astrology, because it can be a bit, oh, that's all a bit heavy. But that's just one cycle of many cycles that we have layers of that we can look at. We can look at people's own personal charts. We can look at our progress charts. So for each person, it's different, of course. Anyone who is, any younger people that are really looking at having children, this is a great year for pregnancy for you guys. And if it's not going to be a baby, it's going to be, like a business that will be your baby. This is also a great time for partnerships. And you may, even though you're quite independent and individual, it's all about the people that you bring in this new cycle for business, or for new growth, or for whatever productive desires that you have. So, when I say that, meaning, it could be something that's not necessarily to make money out of, but something that you're wanting to be part of, whether it's sports or whatever. But it feels like you're bringing in the right people to make the team happen. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of people. It could just be one other person that you need, or it could be a team if you're working on a bigger scale of things. But either way, I feel like through others, and again, others from the past, you're going to make some pretty awesome changes, which is going to really put you this year in the place that you felt you should have been probably a couple of years ago. But, this has been a long growth for Aries, and as you're coming out of what it looks like a bigger cycle, you really are stepping into more joy and more happiness and more fulfillment in your workspace. So feels like for Aries, that you may feel a little bit triggered emotionally, where you feel things are unjust or not fair. So what I'm meaning by that is saying you're going to take that on board at an emotional level, more so than normal. There's this feeling of wanting to just run away from conflict. And this other side of us, no, I'm fighting for what's right. And it's really just that, because it's sort of a more highly emotional year for you, especially with that moon Venus there, that makes us very protective over our children. It makes us very protective over, anything, animals, or any areas that we feel we are, needing to nurture. But, this feels like you're on a mission here, on a mission to really find fulfillment in new areas, but also in making things fair and just and what is right. There's really good news around a sum of money here, and it's like interesting how I was picking up that there are some restrictions around our security, some restrictions around feeling like you can move ahead, and even annoyances in sort of the home or family environments. But here seems to be like finally the opportunity you've been waiting for, the financial assistance to really move forward. So anybody looking at borrowing money for business, or setting themselves up, or needing some help to look at property or anything, this is actually, the sum of money is going to really serve you well. So this feels like you weren't necessarily expecting it, and it also feels like this isn't needing to be an issue anymore. So if there's been arguments about money in relationships, we can't spend on this because we've got this. Well, it's it's very tiring worrying about every bill coming in. But it feels like this is. It's like if there has been any conflicts surrounding finances or money, you're going to get your own way, Aries. So just sort of let you know that. So if your partner's like, no, we can't spend it on that, you are determined to make things happen. And this is all coming from a really sound, grounded belief in yourself. And I feel that this is what Aries is going through. They're going through a whole change of perspective at some level of letting go of past and moving forward to new things in the future. So I'm going to just do a zodiac spread to see if I can get a little bit more information with regards to Aries and what again the year ahead looks like. So this sort of covers specific areas, and we might get a repeat of what I've just said. So let's have a look. Nice. So we've got the first three cards that were at the base all come up. And the first one here, which is, again, your self-expression, is you have the Empress here. So again, this is a productive space. It's a really joyful space to be in. It's a space where you're feeling very good about the direction that you're wanting to take. It's also relates to business again. 2, 7. The finances are absolutely improving with these cards here. So your security is going to feel a lot more secure, but it's coming into a new cycle. There's 12. I thought I'd miss one. Wow, it's a really strong year for heightened awareness for Aries. And I feel like, in a way, it's quite good. You've got Mars sort of calming Aries energy down a little bit in the 12th house, because you are definitely going through a spiritual growth. And with that Sun Neptune, again, that is all about spiritual growth. And, again, learning to release and let go. This is also a wonderful time around family and soul family and soul connections. Great time for partnerships and relationships. Could look at celebrations, getting married. There's, it's really special bonds around you for the whole general energy of the spread. So going back to your financial situation and this new cycle, this exciting news, I feel like this is sort of coming through your own ideas and your own plans, your own entrepreneurial skills, especially with the being next to the Empress. Again, also we've got a lot of fertility in these cards again. So, if you're wanting to bring in a baby in, or there could be a new addition to the family, or new animals, or, can come in some other form or way. But, again, it's about what brings you joy and what brings you love. Anyone on their own and hasn't met their partner yet, I would say April, May is the perfect timing for this. Could even be sooner. But, during the time of Taurus, you might find in Taurus starts around the 21st, I think, from memory, of April. And you're also going to be really mobile this year. You could be looking at a new car. You're going to be doing a lot more driving. There's going to be a lot more short trips going on, and a lot more connecting up with family, siblings, friends. So, you could be traveling like a distance, when I say distance, just by vehicle, to go and visit others. So there is plans again around the home situation, and it's like you're building up towards that. So you're saving your money, you're speculating on what you would like. You really, I think, will be making a change of home this year, Aries, for a lot of you. It's going to be a great year also for entertainment and, a lot of activities going on within family. So, children, spending a lot of time with children and doing activities. When I say a lot of activities going on, when I say entertainment, sorry, it's sort of what we do for fun. So, some people go to movies, some people go to see a band, some people play music. This is actually where your creativity lies and where your creative skills lie, and that can be in the music and the arts in this particular sector. And this is sort of saying that you've got lots of energy for that. And that's another combination, actually. The Sun Neptune actually does relate to music and arts, more sort of painting and that sort of finer arts. But music is absolutely one combination for that. So in your daily routine in your work sector, you may be, because there's a lot of family around here, you may be a young mother, or grandmother, but you're spending a lot of time, around your family. It's like you could be just quite happy to spend your time at home and doing all those nurturing things. But otherwise, if it is to do with your work and your career, it's going to be what you enjoy, what emotionally moves you. And that's where Venus and the moon come into it, because Venus can be about how we make money, and the moon is sort of like, well, it's got to be enjoyable. I've got to feel good doing it. And, this sort of confirms that you are going to be really enjoying what you're doing on a daily routine with work. So for relationships, it looks like things are going to be quite easy for relationships. I mean, this is a lovely spread for Aries. It's going to be quite quite smooth running. It's going to be easier if there's been struggles or difficulties. There may be some times when you're just sort of needing a break from things, because I feel like, especially the potential for new relationships in here, for any Aries looking for new relationships. You might find that there's someone who lives a bit of a distance, or you have to travel again to connect up. But also I feel like with your work could have you, or with this new business idea I should say, could have you sort of moving around quite a bit on your feet, but also doing quite a bit of driving, and even some plane trips, travelling over water I've got here. So again, there's this unconscious drive for justice. There's an unconscious drive for things being fair and just and right for others. I feel like that's quite a good placement to be in that position, because it's a major arcana card. It's sort of where things come back into balance, but it's not necessarily, and it's in a place that is sort of hard to utilise. That eighth sector, sort of relates to what we're letting go of and what we're working on. We know what it's a death and rebirth, and it's like what we are needing to recognise from the unconscious to let go of. So also can relate to other people's money. So I see it as sort of the banks, and with the justice here, feels like, if you want to get a loan from the bank, you're going to find it really easy. If you're wanting some help out, from family, because it can relate to inheritances, it can relate to family trusts. So if there might be a situation there where you're wanting to sort that out within the family, and it's like that is absolutely going to be the perfect time for that. So nice to see the Ten of Pentacles in the 10th sector, because it's saying that you're working towards better security, and better security is coming. This card I relate to like when the mortgage is paid, when you finally come to the end of the road, whether it's to do with a career or whether it's to do with, just financially, now I can relax, now I can create passive income, now I can retire. But it sort of guarantees financial security. So it's not about having to deal with less money. It's actually about having everything you need and more, but also having space for yourself and going, well, okay, we've done that, what's next? And it's interesting that it's opposite this sort of speculative card, the Seven of Pentacles, where you're thinking about other ways of doing things and other ways of making money. Again, I really feel strongly about property investment here with Aries. So again, new opportunities are coming. You've got an offer coming in, which I think is going to reach you to new heights. So Aries, you may be thinking, with Neptune, so I don't know what it is I want to do or want to create, or I've got all the different skills, but I'm not sure how to utilize them. I'd really think the key is connections. It's people in the right places at the right time. Now that can be family connections, it's soul family connections on some level, because it all goes back to this. But this is like the people that know you. Now sometimes our family don't know who we really are. They think they do, but they don't. Sometimes you have this in lifetime friendships with others. Sometimes this just comes in from people you just meet and you go, wow, she really gets me, or he really gets me. I feel like because this is a great time for new connections, for love and for friendship, it's going to lead you into new things. It's going to open you up to new things. So again, you are going to go through some sort of transformations with regards to friendships. Some friendships, again, it's showing here, letting go of, and new ones coming in, like I said. But these new ones are definitely in a lot more alignment with your soul. And again, we have in the 12th sector, this is all about finances again, but it's about giving and taking. It's about receiving. It's about, you know, there might be an unconscious belief that you don't deserve or that you don't receive enough. So maybe you can work on that when it comes to needing to heal. That's at Neptune. Why is it that I feel like things are a struggle? Why is it that they've been a struggle? Why is it I don't believe that I deserve to have what others deserve? So, you know, it's easy to say and a really, really difficult thing to work out, because I think we're all conditioned to believe that we're either not good enough or that we you know, this doesn't happen to us. But it's like when we understand that that belief system has been passed down, it's been because we've, you know, because struggle is a reality for a lot of people, and things get said as children. You know, children hear their parents saying we can't afford, we don't have, and we tend to follow in those patterns. So again, this is about seeing it, seeing money flowing to you, understanding it's an energy that anybody can have if they actually want it. So it's not a greedy thing to want more, it's actually a right thing to want more, especially when you're creating family and when you're, you know, you've got so much to offer and you just need some a financial boost to actually help you to get started with it. So it looks like a really, really awesome year for Aries. Nothing really too difficult in here. Again, we've got the issues, probably the hardest part is in your friendship sector, but I think that is like something you've been going through anyway. And it's just, to me, it's just like you're going to just have a day where you just go and you cut away from that person, and that's, you know, that day for that drama, the next day it's all forgotten about, meaning you probably got to, you know, have these sort of little blow-ups to sort of ascertain, you know, to be clear about what, you know, you're really wanting and expecting, and what you give out as well. So yeah, it looks really good for Aries, like I say, and I feel like, you know, where you are like deciding to let go of certain people, this is to create space, because you've got so many people in these cards here of soul connection that are coming in, that are going to be a big part of your changes for the year ahead. So I hope you enjoyed that, Aries. Sorry that was a bit longer than anticipated, but my readings sometimes get a bit long-winded. So if you're interested in having a reading with me, you can contact me through my email, which is in the description of my YouTube page, and it's $100 for an hour, $100 New Zealand. So, you know, just send me a message and I'll get back to you if that's what you're interested in. Have a good day, guys. Bye.